On this episode of Therapy Bites Art Lab.
Fresh from the therapy couch and the darker recesses beneath, some scary stories that even you may not believe. We hope that you join us on our upcoming podcast, Therapy Bites Art Lab. Find us on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome to Therapy Bites Art Lab, where Dr. Heath and his special guests share real-life stories of helping and healing. Fresh from the actual therapy couch, while taking a bite out of common counseling missteps and misconceptions. And now, here's Heath and the TBAL team.
Hey gang, welcome. We are doing a bit of a preview for our upcoming 6 episodes, and we'll be dropping 1 episode a week of the Therapy Bites Art Lab podcast. ART stands for Accurate Realistic Thinking. Lab stands for Life Affirming Beliefs, and we want to help you biggie size your thinking. We hope you join us for all those episodes coming up. And today's just a preview. We're going to share with you what episodes 1 through 6 will be like, okay? And we've had some questions, and we're just going to be here for the next few minutes answering those questions.
I understand that episode 1 is called Scary Stories from the Darker Recesses Beneath the Therapy Couch. What is this episode going to be all about?
Well, as we often talk, people think that just coming to therapy actually makes you better, and that's a bit of a fairy tale. I mean, I'm in this profession, I've been in this profession for a long time, but as we say in that particular episode, that makes about as much sense as thinking that you can take your vehicle to a garage and just by virtue of being in the garage all night, it'll come out brand new or repaired the next day. We find people can go to therapy and actually get worse. And we'll cover that during that particular episode. What are the factors for great therapy? What are some scary, spooky stories, some horror stories of people actually going to therapy and getting worse? I mean, imagine that. But join us for episode 1.
Are we going to be talking about diagnosis as well?
Diagnoses, yes. There's actually a lot of research about diagnostic creep. At one point, almost half the population of the U.S. could have been diagnosed with ADD because of diagnostic creep. It's really a bad idea to overgeneralize or expand diagnoses so much that everybody that you know, or half the people you know, have some type of severe mental health diagnosis. And we'll cover that. That's kind of a scary, spooky thing.
How about something like depression? We're going to talk about depression and chemical imbalance.
Well, chemical imbalance, that is a common myth perception, and I want to emphasize that myth as in mythological. This is mythological in the profession, that there's some special dipstick we can stick in your ear as we would a oil dipstick and look at it and say this is a chemical imbalance. We're going to challenge some of those myth perceptions.
We got episode 2 I have written here. It's Spooky Tales, Scary Therapy, and Staying Psychologically Safe.
Well, yes, safety is a big social media meme, and I've even started seeing blurbs on trainings that we clinicians go through that say this will be a safe space for you, and it's a Zoom meeting or something. I mean, it kind of begs the question, was there a doubt about this? Was my monitor going to blow up? I mean, was it going to be safe? And that's a myth perception because it really catastrophizes what is safe for us and what is not safe for us. And we can actually program our brains for a catastrophic panic response or a catastrophic anxiety response. You can actually get better at being anxious by telling yourself things such as, I'm not safe, when really you look around, there's no grizzly bear, there's no bomb, there's no monitor going to blow up, but we'll tackle some of those things, and we're going to get head on and get down in the gutter, challenging some of these things because they're pretty widespread.
And I see that learned behavior is going to be discussed, but aren't all behaviors learned?
Aren't all behaviors learned? What a wonderful, wonderful question. Not all behaviors, because see, some behaviors can happen because of some type of neurological disorder, such as trichotillomania, and seizure disorders such as epilepsy. There could be some cardiac problems, but there's a lot of behaviors that are just psychological in nature, and those are based on programming, and we'll tackle that.
I see that episode 3 looks really interesting. Barking werewolf ruins the day. Seriously? What is this about?
The barking werewolf ruins the day. You know, I think if my math is correct, you guys can check me and send me nasty letters if it's not. 1,440 minutes in a day. Now, I ask people routinely, how did something that took 30 seconds to happen ruin the other 1,300 and some odd minutes of the day? And it's called overgeneralization. It's called over-assimilation, and that is a cognitive distortion. We can actually program our brain to throw away a lot of our lives because we use terminology such as it ruined my whole day or my whole week or my whole year or my whole vacation or my whole Christmas holiday. Look back at all the events, make a list, and I would challenge you that every single one of those events did not turn out unfortunately, but your brain will believe what you decide to program it.
You don't understand. I mean, you just don't understand. Everything goes wrong. Everything goes wrong.
Of course it does. And you know, I am the big free will doc. I fully stand behind to defend people's right to make themselves as miserable as they choose. But my job as a neuromechanic is to empower you and let you know, help you understand that you do have a choice. Life doesn't have to be that way. But make no mistake about it, as we often say at Therapy Bites at the ART Lab, we first program our thoughts, and then our thoughts program our lives. Be very careful how you program your thoughts, because they will program your lives. Therapy Bites ART Lab is all about accurate, realistic programming.
You're listening to Therapy Bites Art Lab, bite-sized therapy for your brain with Dr. Heath and the TBAL team. The best advice on the net. No copay required.
And I see zombies and depression quicksand. Is that episode 4?
You know, I think that is episode 4. I'd have to go back and count that up. But zombies and depression quicksand. Depression is all about behavioral deactivation. And we at the Art Lab often have patients that say, oh, I just couldn't get out of bed. And I really feel for these people, but listen to the reality that you're sculpting for yourself to say that I can't get out of bed. I have, as a clinician, a pretty active imagination, and some of these things have actually happened in real life, including the super glue. But not to me, but to my patients. But I often imagine somebody that says, I just can't get out of bed, is some zombie came in or some evil minion and dumped a huge bucket of super glue all over them. But I would ask, now wait a minute, think about that. What if a mosquito lit on your nose, a vampire mosquito like we have in Arkansas? Would you sit there and let it suck all the blood out of your nose, or would you swat it? Well, that's evidence that it's not true to believe that you just can't move. If you can move this much, then you can move this much. If you can move this much, then you can move this much. And you can actually behaviorally activate yourself by rattling around the neurons in your brain with some very evidence-based strategies. That's a huge misperception there, is I can't get out of bed. Sounds like a Lifetime or an AMC horror movie, doesn't it?
You talk about behavioral activation, but I thought medication was the only cure for depression.
Of course it is. It is. Just medicine. I mean, if you want to believe that. But you don't have to believe that. I often do a little bit of math with patients and remind them that we've actually had these medications for less than 100 years, and that is a very small fraction of time that the human race has existed. Goodness, how in the world did all those other poor souls before the pharmaceutical industrial complex, by the way, that's PIC, pharmaceutical industrial complex, they pick your pocket. How in the world did humanity survive before Xanax and all these anxiolytics?
Hey, what about this? What about this, Dr. Heath? I'm sorry, I'm excited. I'm looking at episode 5 here. I'm pretty sure it says spirits, unsafe spaces, and other tales of terror.
Don't you just love it? I love spooky season, and we're getting this kicked off on Halloween. And again, there is a lot of memes going around about unsafe spaces and things that control our minds. We'll highlight one of my own social media debates. I love my social media debates. People take the bait every time, and then after the debate, they go back and they delete the whole post. But I have debates about things such as the power of toxicity and the power of people controlling me and gaslighting and manipulating me. Oh my, all the zombies and spooks, oh my goodness. And we want to dispel those and empower you. We want to ask you, invite you to consider taking your power back. For instance, if manipulation were a real thing, or even toxicity or gaslighting, I'm sure that we would militarize it, and we would deploy agents of gaslighting to Russia. And we would gaslight Vladimir Putin, and he'd have no choice because we could control his mind, manipulate his neurons, and he would just have to stop attacking Ukraine. Why don't we do that? I mean, even on a smaller scale, why don't we teach teachers to use these manipulation strategies on students, or, I don't know, one of these other controlling techniques? You know why? Because they don't exist, because people have free will. And we're going to talk about self-empowerment in almost every episode. We want you to come and fill your brain up with these healthy thinking techniques. We're excited about it.
But I kind of get what you're saying, but for me personally, I don't feel safe anywhere I go. So what do I do with that?
Oh goodness, yeah.
Safety's important, right?
I agree. I'm safety first with my whole family. I'm safety first. I am the paranoid safety guy in my family. I am the appointed protector, and we're big on seat belts and bumpers around fireplaces. When my son was small, so he wouldn't fall and bump his head. You'll hear the F word a lot. We're going to talk about the F word a lot. It's not the one you're thinking about, though. It is a four-letter word. Starts with F-E-E-L, and people use that as evidence. There is no F-E-E-L feeling, which will tell you that you're safe.
What about myths, monsters, and scary stress?
Myths, monsters, and scary stress. Don't you just love how we demonize stress? Oh, stress causes heart attacks, and stress will kill you, and stress makes your little boy parts fall off. Well, of course, that's not the case. That is just my field. You can thank my field for demonizing stress, and shame on us. We should have done that. But the research shows quite a different picture. It's not the stress. It's how we sculpt reality, carving it up with our own thought processes. And we want to teach you how to be in control of your own thought processes, not all these social media memes. It'll be a fun time. We hope you join us.
I've heard about good stress and bad stress. Is that true? You is good. You can think of a euphemism, a good saying instead of an offensive saying. Euthanasia, which really stands for good death. But good stress and bad stress, that's called either or thinking. The only thing that makes it good or bad is our perception. Therefore, literally, any stress for any individual could be bad for this person and not for this person, but it's not about the stress. It's not about the event, situation, circumstance. It's about how each of us is choosing to perceive that. We look forward to tackling that myth also. Thank you for joining us. We hope you join us for the other episodes. It'll be a great time. We're going to rock your world. We're going to challenge some pseudo-psychological Kool-Aid drinking nonsense that you see in social media. Invite your friends and family. We'll be posting to the standard popular podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. You can catch us there. We'll be dropping an episode a week. Join us for the watch party. That is this Saturday, October the 15th, 6 p.m. Central. That's Chicago time. We hope to see you there. We'll be having games and prizes, giveaways, sweepstakes, and all kinds of fun goings on. See you there.
Hey, T-Ballers. Thanks so much for being with us today. If we brought value to your day, Show us some love by leaving your positive feedback and inviting some friends to listen in. And join the TBAL team. Next time on TherapyBites Art Lab.
The best thing that we clinicians can ever do with the people we serve is to show our humanity.